My husband came home late at night as usual. Normally, I would fall asleep immediately, but not on this particular day.
I'm not working anymore from tomorrow.
Huh? What are you talking about? I'm struggling to pay off the loan.
I don't need your pocket change. I'll pay off the loan in one go.
Well, if you insist, let's see it. Show me what you're made of. My name is Nina. I work as a full-time employee and I'm reasonably busy. I've been married to my husband Peter for 3 years. A year ago, we bought the house of our dreams and now we both live there. Amid a successful career, I poured dedication into my dream home. To those looking from the outside, I may seem to have a smooth life, but I have one concern. My husband's drinking habits. With the completion of the new house, my husband's work department also changed. The stress of the situation caused my husband to start drinking heavily. My husband raised his voice in a drunken state.
Nina, bring me alcohol. Beer or whiskey. Anything works.
Hey, Peter, you've had too much to drink.
Huh? Shut up. I'm tired. You wouldn't understand.
I know you're tired, but recently, the pace and frequency of your drinking have increased.
Annoying. Just bring it already.
I'm just worried about your health, Peter.
I told you to shut up. If you have time to babble, move your butt.
I couldn't bear the daily verbal abuse from my husband, reluctantly serving him alcohol every day. I was fed up with his routine. What troubled me most was the day after he's been drinking. He seemed to black out when intoxicated, remembering nothing the next day.
Good morning, Nina. You seem a bit down.
Good morning. You drank a lot again yesterday. Are you feeling okay?
I'm fine, but... Did I say something to you again, Nina?
Yeah. But you don't remember, right?
I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to. I always forget completely when I wake up. But I feel like I might have said something. I'm really sorry.
With those words, my husband began to clean the house in my place. The day after he verbally abused me, he helped with household chores. Seeing him like that stirred indescribable feelings in me. One day, after about a year of days like these, my husband got drunk and started hurling insults again. Peter, not again.
Just keep getting the alcohol, damn it.
Fed up, I decided to confront my husband. Peter, can I have a word? While taking out a cold beer can, my husband asked.
What?
I'm talking about the alcohol you have right now. I want you to reduce the amount or frequency a bit.
Nina? Are you worried about my health?
That too. But when you drink, you become a different person. You say hurtful things, and I'm at my limit every day.
I'm sorry about that, but I want to drink to relieve work stress.
I understand, so I'm not asking you to quit completely. Just to reduce the frequency and amount. In the face of my sincere appeal, he seemed genuinely reflective, slumping his shoulders as if he was troubled. Then he returned the beer he had in his hand to the refrigerator.
I'm going to cool my head.
Saying that, he casually left. Maybe I went a little overboard. But it's for our future. I had to be firm. Worried about him, I waited in the living room. After about 2 hours, I heard the sound of the door opening. Welcome back, Peter. Huh? His face was flushed, and the smell of alcohol was overwhelming, even from a distance. I asked in horror. Hey, Peter, I hope it's not what I think. Did you go drinking?
Huh? So what if I did? You keep complaining, so I had a drink outside.
What's the point if you drink outside instead of at home?
Shut up. It's my money. It's none of your business.
It is my business. Your excessive drinking is affecting our finances. And I'm the one paying for house expenses and renovations.
Huh. You're lecturing me over a measly $1,100 a month? Ridiculous.
Don't belittle it. We're a couple. We should cooperate a bit more.
Shut up. I'm the head of this house. Don't give me orders. You worthless wife.
With those words, he went upstairs, leaving me alone in the living room, tears streaming down my face. Why? Why is it always like this? If we just talk, he might understand. But my expectations were shattered. He not only failed to grasp my feelings, but also showed no sign of changing. Faced with this harsh reality, my heart ached. Since that day, my husband has been drinking outside. He would come home late at night, reeking of alcohol and berating me. Despite that, whenever I see the usually kind husband, I can't bring myself to dislike him, and my determination for divorce wavers. I love my husband, and I don't want to think about divorce. I can't take this any longer. I decided to talk to my sister about this matter because I knew I wouldn't get anywhere if I thought about it alone. When I explained everything over the phone, she spoke in a low voice. I see. That's troublesome. Right? I love Peter, but the alcohol issue is really causing problems. From what I've heard, it's clear you're reaching your limit. Well, we've had a similar situation here. There's a couple that seems to have solved the problem by using a certain method. A certain method? Seeing my interest, my sister asked with a playful tone. Interested in knowing? I want to know. Tell me. All right, I'll teach you. The strategy she shared wasn't exactly extraordinary. Wait a moment, Michelle. Is that plan really okay? Don't worry. My friend got the idea from a play. I heard it went well somehow, and I'm willing to help. I'm worried. Upon researching, I found out the play's story my sister's friend drew inspiration from was titled Fallen Words. It depicted the transformation of a diligent wife and a lazy husband. It's about a drunkard husband who, through his wife's love and quick wit, recovers from his heavy drinking. One day, the husband, drunk, picks up a large sum of money. Concerned he might neglect work, the wife hides the money. She convinces the inebriated husband that the events of the previous night were just a dream. I'm going to make him change his mind so that this will never happen again. That's exactly what the saying, drink but don't be drunk, is all about. There is even an article about an alcoholic who swore to rehabilitate himself after hearing this play. I don't know if it will really work, but I have to try anyway. From that day on, I had many discussions with my sister, and I was clinging to the straw. When I was unclear about the plan, I consulted with my sister's friend, who had executed the plan. A few days later, I was waiting in the living room when I got a call from my sister. Hello, Nina. I met Peter as planned. I dropped my wallet in front of him, let him pick it up, and handed him the wallet as a thank you gesture. Thank you. So did he notice you were my sister? I disguised myself as an old lady with wrinkled makeup. He was so drunk, I don't think he noticed. I see. So he was drinking again today, huh? I followed him for work, and he went to 3 bars. He ended up sleeping on a bench in the park. Seriously? Does he always do that kind of thing? The mission isn't over yet, and already I'm feeling anxious about it. My sister seemed to see through my emotions as she spoke confidently over the phone. It'll be okay. The crucial part is from here on, right? Yeah, but after I handed him the wallet, he went to drink again, so he might come home late. Now is your time to shine, Nina. Yeah, got it. My sister ended the call with a simple good luck. Then a few hours later,
I'm home.
My heavily drunk husband returned. Welcome back. Since you have work tomorrow, isn't it better to go to bed early?
Huh? Work? I'm not going to that.
Hey, stop joking. Don't say you won't go to work when we have a life to sustain. With a flushed face, my husband grumbled.
You're persistent.
And then, as if mocking, he said,
Anyway, I'm not working from tomorrow onwards.
Huh? What are you talking about? I'm struggling to pay off the loan.
I don't need your pocket change. I'll pay off the loan in one go.
In one go? There's no way you can do that, right?
I can do it. Look at this.
Peter took out his wallet and shoved the bills and a check in my direction. What's the story behind this large sum of money?
Well, you see, today while taking a stroll in the park to sober up, I happened to pick up an old lady's wallet. And when I returned it, she gave me this as a thank you for picking it up gesture. Isn't it amazing?
There's no way such a lucky story exists.
But I've actually been drinking a lot of booze with the money in this wallet. This drunk version of me is the proof. I'll convert the check into cash tomorrow. Then I'll pay off the loan in one go with a big splash.
Really? Can I trust you with this?
That's exactly what I'm saying. We don't need your pocket change anymore.
Okay, I won't make any payments from now on.
Alright. Maybe I'll have another drink then.
Peter took out a beer from the fridge and started drinking contentedly. Ignoring my husband, I headed towards the bedroom. I wonder, can people really change so easily? If anything, it feels like things are heading in a negative direction. Tomorrow, everything depends on how he reacts. I felt anxious, but I forced myself to sleep. The next day, trying not to wake my sleeping husband, I hid the wallet from last night inside the house before waking him up. Hey, Peter, it's already 7:30. Don't you need to get up? My husband groaned and furrowed his eyebrows.
So, I'm not going to work anymore.
What are you talking about? You're going to work today, right?
I don't need to anymore. I've got those checks, so...
What are you talking about? There are no checks.
Huh?
With a sudden movement, my husband sat up, turned pale, and started looking around frantically.
What happened to the wallet that was here?
Wallet? I don't know. Did you think it was a wallet when you came home yesterday? I didn't see it.
Come on, don't lie. Was that a dream?
Struggling to hold back a laugh, I brought up the subject with my husband. And by the way, you mentioned yesterday that you'd take care of the future loan payments, right? Can I trust you on that?
Huh?
Huh? No, you said that, right? Don't tell me you don't remember.
Well, I remember saying that, but it was because I had those checks.
That's why I'm saying there are no checks, right?
What do you mean? The loan talk is real, but the checks are a dream? No, wait. Does that mean I promised to pay off the loan without any money?
My husband looked flustered, almost foaming at the mouth. Looking down at him, I delivered my words. What are we going to do? I trusted you because you said you'd take care of it.
Sorry. It seems like I was dreaming.
A dream? Do you think that excuse will work? I've been holding back all this time. No matter how much I told you, you wouldn't stop drinking all the time. There was even a time when I considered divorcing you because your drinking money made life so hard, you know? I thought maybe if you're going to pay the loan, then... But if you can't, there's nothing I can do.
Wait a minute. Don't talk about divorce. I love you, Nina.
Love? Then why don't you consider my feelings more? You, under the influence of alcohol, are a more terrible person than you think.
That's...
I want to be with you, but if you're going to be controlled by alcohol in the future, I can't be with you anymore. When I made that clear, my husband collapsed to his knees with tears in his eyes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really sorry. I didn't realize I was pushing you that far, Nina. This is all because of alcohol. No, I used alcohol as an excuse. It's my own fault for being so weak-willed.
Do you understand now?
Yeah, I've realized how shallow I was. I've been made aware of it through this incident. I'll stop drinking, Nina. I'm really sorry.
So saying, my husband bowed his head deeply. Since then, he really hasn't had a drop of alcohol. He began coming straight home. As I stated, I stopped making payments on my loan, so he had to put all his booze money towards the loan. He continues to help with household chores as before, which is truly helpful. 1 year later, my husband started putting more effort into work and successfully climbed the corporate ladder. Though he was originally capable at work, his habit of excessive drinking at company parties hindered his progress. I learned later that it was a significant factor in his slow career advancement. Furthermore, after some time we were blessed with the child we had been hoping for. Our current family life is truly smooth sailing. However, it's about time to reveal the real truth. One evening, when my husband returned from work, I decided to disclose the truth from a year ago. Well, Peter, there's something I need to talk to you about.
Huh? What's going on all of a sudden?
Don't you recognize this? When I handed the familiar wallet to my husband, he widened his eyes.
This is the wallet I got from the old lady back then. Why is it here? Wasn't it a dream?
Actually, that old lady was my older sister.
Huh? Your sister? What on earth is going on? I'm completely lost.
I confessed everything to my husband. During that time, Peter, when you drank, you would change so much, and I was at my limit. I felt bad for deceiving you, but I thought this was the only way to make you change. The check was fate, and it was all an act that my sister and I orchestrated. I'm really sorry for lying. Then my husband smiled.
What are you talking about?
He said, gently patting my back.
Why are you apologizing? The one at fault is me, right?
Peter.
The fact that I've changed like this is thanks to you, Nina. If anything, I feel sorry for making you go through such elaborate measures. I was really hopeless back then as a person, a pathetic human being. I won't let you go through such feelings again, I promise.
Thank you, Peter. I'm happy to hear you say that. It's okay now. I can trust him now. I took out a beer, my husband's favorite, from the fridge and offered it to him with a smile. Since we've come this far, how about having a drink today?
Huh? Is it okay?
Of course, thank you for enduring it for a whole year.
Seriously, I've actually wanted to drink for a while.
But when I handed him the beer, he paused for a moment and placed the can on the table. Peter, what's wrong? Aren't you going to drink?
No, it's okay.
Huh?
I don't want to risk ruining the happy life I have with you, Nina, now by drinking.
Peter, you really have changed.
I've had enough of being controlled by alcohol.
I'm glad, really. Despite the twists and turns, my husband was able to successfully reform. With him, I'm sure we can continue to live a happy life in the future.
On my 35th birthday, younger husband and son don't need a 40-ish old hag divorce. Me. Okay, but sure. Divorced as they wished, then. Lol.
I don't need a 35-year-old has-been. Divorce. That's what. Rounding up, you're practically 40. That's just... ew. I'm cutting ties with you, so just leave already.
Could there be anyone else who has to endure such insults from her husband and son? Especially on her birthday? It's clear they no longer see me as part of the family. But actually, it's rather convenient for me. I've been waiting for a chance to get even. My name is Sally. I'm 34. I live with my 25-year-old husband, Kevin, and our 19-year-old son, Sean. I had Sean at 16, a single mom. I struggled to raise him and met my current husband in my late 20s. I'm truly grateful to Kevin for accepting a single mother like me. My husband and son are close in age, more like friends than father and son. Sean was fond of Kevin even before we married, and that was fine, but over time, their attitudes towards me turned increasingly negative. One day, as I was cleaning the house, I found Sean lying on the floor. Hey, Sean, I need a vacuum. Can you move?
Ugh, you're so annoying. Do it when I'm not here.
What's with that tone? Weren't you supposed to go for a job interview today?
Well, I didn't feel like it, so I skipped it.
What? You promised to earn your own pocket money. I just gave you $300 the other day.
A parent shouldn't be stingy about $300.
Listen to this recording on my phone. You clearly said you'd earn your own spending money.
Shut up, old hag. You're always so annoying.
When I played the recording I had made, he just spat out more spiteful words. I've gotten into the habit of recording their words because of our frequent arguments over who said what. I'm glad I recorded this time too. After graduating high school, Sean hasn't gotten a job and just lazes around the house every day. He says he'll go to job interviews, but ends up not bothering. Even when he gets hired, he quits within a few days. His attitude towards me has worsened day by day. This started a few years ago when Kevin began calling me an old hag, and Sean picked it up from him. I was frustrated with my son's behavior. Then I saw Kevin coming downstairs looking irritated.
Hey, what's all the noise? I was trying to sleep.
Can you talk to Sean? He skipped another job interview.
That's it? I finally have a day off. Let me sleep in peace.
That's it?
You've been getting angry a lot lately. Is it menopause or something?
No, it's normal to be upset at a son who just lazes around every day.
Watch out, Sean.
Sean laughed mockingly at his father's words. Can it really be normal for a husband and son to belittle their wife and mother like this? What have I ever done to them? They keep hurling insults at me, thinking I won't fight back. They're close, and they team up to mock me. Lately, they even deliberately skip meals I've cooked or stay out late into the night. Kevin sometimes comes home reeking of perfume. Can we really call ourselves a family in this state? But they're my family. The son I bore and the man who accepted us and married me. I try to react neutrally. Months later, today felt a bit brighter. Today is my 35th birthday. The family might have forgotten, but that's okay. I decided to treat myself and bought a cake and appetizers on my way home. When I got home, Kevin and Sean, unusually at home, greeted me. Huh? Why are both of you here?
What are you talking about, Sally? It's your birthday today. Yeah, it's your birthday, Mom. That's why we came home early.
Really? You remembered my birthday?
Huh? Of course. We're married, aren't we? Who forgets their mom's birthday? Have a seat. We'll get everything ready.
Aw, guys. Thank you. Both of you. I was honestly shocked. For the past few years, they hadn't even acknowledged my birthday. Their willingness to celebrate it meant a lot to me. Half an hour later, Kevin and Sean arranged the appetizers on plates and put candles on the cake. They smiled broadly as I was moved.
Happy birthday, Sally. Happy birthday, Mom.
Thank you so much, both of you.
We've put you through a lot. You've done a great job. Mom, you've done great. Yeah, you really have.
Why are they talking like this? Something about the celebration felt off. As I wondered, Sean urged me to blow out the candles. I did as told, and then they stood up, clapping.
There, it's out. You're done. Man, it's been a long time. Finally, we're free from the old hag.
What are you two talking about?
Hey, Sean. She still doesn't get it. Dad, you tell her. I can't stop laughing.
What's going on? It was just blowing out candles. I couldn't understand. Then, they said something unbelievable.
Just now, you ended your relationship with us. You're no longer needed. Yeah, it's been long. Dad, we're finally free. Yup, that's right.
What? What are you talking about?
Don't you get it? I don't need a 35-year-old has-been. Divorce. That's what. Rounding up, you're practically 40. That's just... ew. I'm cutting ties with you, so just leave already.
Kevin then took out a divorce paper from his bag and slammed it in front of me.
Here, I got it ready for you.
And Kevin, are you serious about this divorce?
Of course I am. Who wants to be married to an old hag like you?
Old hag? Really?
What's the big deal? It's true. You're a decade older than me. I'm not going to be stuck taking care of an old woman.
What kind of thing is that to say? When we got married, I asked you, remember? I told you I had a child and that there was a 10-year gap between us. And I asked if that was okay with you.
Back then, you were still just about in your 20s. Plus, you were pretty then.
But anyone would know that as time passes, people age. He sighed in exasperation and mocked me.
Hey, cut the act, old lady. You should be grateful I stayed with you, even after you turned 30. Sean and I have put up with you until now.
Sean chimed in, echoing his father's sentiments.
Seriously, Mom? Did you actually think you were needed?
How can you talk like that? I'm your real mother.
Ugh, don't act all motherly. Having me at 16? That's just trashy. I couldn't care less about a hag like you. Just leave, please.
At that moment, any semblance of family love I had held onto collapsed. So, I'm not family or anything to them anymore. The divorce papers are ready, and even my son has rejected me. No need to hold back anymore. I made up my mind. In front of my husband and son, I signed the divorce papers. How about that? Happy now?
Wow, that was quick. Given up on clinging to us? Poor thing, getting dumped by Dad and me.
I looked down on them as I replied. Clinging? Getting dumped? What are you talking about? If anyone's doing the dumping, it's me.
Huh? What are you blabbering about? Dad, just leave it. She's just sore about losing.
You can be smug for now. Just enjoy your carefree life together for a little while. I left the house with the signed divorce papers and my packed bags. That night, I stayed at a business hotel, and the next day, I headed to a law office I had my eye on. Of course, to seek revenge on them. A few weeks later, just as I thought, Kevin called. Hello?
Hey, Sally? What's this all about?
What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. I just got something called a proof of service.
Good, it arrived. Just follow what's written there.
What the? Why should I pay you alimony?
What? What are you talking about? You were cheating, weren't you?
Huh?
Yes. My ex-husband Kevin was having an affair. I suspected as much when he started coming home smelling of perfume. I even guessed he introduced his mistress to our son. I hired a detective to gather evidence of his infidelity, preparing for the eventuality of divorce.
You knew I had a girlfriend?
Yes, of course I knew. I just happened to find out.
Then why didn't you say anything before? Demanding alimony right after the divorce?
Why? Duh. I thought of you as family. Sure, I was shocked when I found out about the affair. I thought about divorcing you right away. But I endured it, because we were a family. Tears welled up in my eyes as I confessed my true feelings. I had no more feelings for him. I had decided to cut ties with my son. I had gone to the lawyer with that resolve. Maybe, just maybe, my husband would admit his faults and apologize. That hope shattered with this phone call.
So you still have feelings for me, huh? Fine. I'll pretend the divorce never happened. But cancel the alimony claim.
Are you serious? After all the ways you've belittled me and cheated? Not even a word of apology?
What? Have I done anything wrong? The reason I insulted you and cheated is all because you're an old hag. It's not my fault. It's yours for aging.
Fine. That's enough. I'll be over with my lawyer later. Bye. I hung up immediately and headed to the family home with my lawyer. As soon as we arrived, they started smirking.
Oh, look who it is. How does it feel to be kicked out by your loving husband and son? You look even older now, don't you? Can't believe she's my mom. Dad's girlfriend is way cooler.
Same as ever, you two.
Huh? What do you want? If you don't have any business, just leave. And I'm not paying any alimony. Yeah, leave. You're just an eyesore.
Well, just one last thing. Please, go ahead. At my prompt, the lawyer began to explain.
Kevin, you owe $53,000 in damages for the affair. I told you, I'm not paying. And $17,000 for the mental anguish Sally suffered from your verbal abuse. That's $70,000 total. $70,000?
Kevin visibly panicked, sweating as he appealed to the lawyer.
Wait a minute. This is crazy. I get the affair, but verbal abuse? We have evidence. What? Sally regularly recorded your and your son's statements.
Initially for petty arguments, but who knew it would come in handy like this? Nodding at my words, the lawyer continued.
You had a smart wife. Whether unconsciously or not, you provided us with plenty of evidence. That can't be. Just so you know, all the evidence she has is valid. Taking and forcibly deleting it from her won't work, as we have backups. That's all from me. Shall we go, Sally?
As we were about to leave, Kevin shouted.
Wait. Please. Sally, forgive me. I can't pay $70,000.
Not my problem. You brought this on yourself. You were the one who handed me the divorce papers.
Yes, but I never expected things to go this far.
At his words, my patience snapped. What? Do you even hear yourself? After calling me an old hag and belittling me, now you say no divorce? You're unbelievable.
But I meant that as just...
Let me make it clear. I have no intention of getting back with you or being part of your family. I'll make you pay the alimony, whatever it takes. I feel liberated being divorced from you. Go to hell, you jerk. His face turned pale, and he fell silent. My son, witnessing this, hesitantly spoke.
Wait, Mom,
What?
well, if Dad pays alimony, he'll be short on money, so
What are you trying to say?
you'll still give me an allowance, right? Like before, $300 a month.
I couldn't help but laugh at my son's brazenness.
What's so funny?
Are you kidding me? Why would I give you an allowance?
Why? You're my mother, and I'm still a minor.
Oh, don't you know?
Huh?
In our country, the law changed this April. You're now considered an adult at 18. You understand what that means?
That means...
At 19, you're not a minor anymore. I have no obligation to support you. Get a job, you lazy bum. You dumped me, and now I'm dumping you. Don't expect any help from me, no matter what. Fall as low as you can with your good-for-nothing father.
But... Wait, Mom!
Ignoring my crying ex-son, I left with my lawyer. The divorce was soon finalized. My ex-husband apparently went into debt to pay me alimony. He remarried quickly to his mistress, a notorious spendthrift who borrowed thousands in his name from loan sharks. Now she's missing, and he's hiding from the loan sharks. As for my ex-son, he started working at a convenience store but was fired soon due to his laziness. Recently, he's been spending nights in the park because of the debt collectors at home. They might not share blood, but they're alike in every other way. It's unbelievable. Some might think abandoning my own son is irresponsible, but I don't regret my decision. I have a heart. I'm not a robot. After enduring so much, I refuse to dedicate my life to such people. From now on, I'll take care of myself and lead a life that makes me happy.
My husband kicked me out on a snowy day, saying he won't take care of someone in a wheelchair. A year post-divorce, I thanked him, to his surprise.
My husband, who had been kind to me, became arrogant towards me after we got married. He doesn't have a proper job and relies on my income. If I dare to complain even a little, he becomes enraged and resorts to violence. I was gradually worn down by stress. At that time, I met with an accident and ended up with a lower limb disability. And on a snowy day, my husband kicked me out of the house.
I refuse to take care of you for the rest of my life.
Thus ended our married life. 1 year after the divorce, I encountered my ex-husband, Andrew, again. I smiled warmly at him and said, "Thank you for that time."
Huh?
Actually, something good happened at that time. My name is Kira, and I'm 29 years old. I work as an office worker. I'm in my 3rd year of marriage with my husband, Andrew, who is 2 years older than me. We don't have children yet, and live together in an apartment. We met at a drinking party, invited by colleagues at work. Andrew was cheerful and skilled at his job. Since I tend to be shy, his outgoing nature seemed dazzling to me. I started to be interested in him and gathered the courage to approach him. Andrew also seemed interested in me, and we decided to try dating. The relationship progressed smoothly, and before we knew it, we decided to get married. A happy married life was supposed to begin. At that time, I truly believed it. However, after marriage, Andrew changed. His gentlemanly demeanor disappeared, and he started to show a bossy, arrogant attitude towards me.
Hey, what are you dilly-dallying for? Hurry up and make some food. You're such a useless wife.
I respond to him feeling fed up. I'm in the middle of making it, so don't rush me. Besides, it's your fault for eating all the prepared side dishes in advance.
Don't make excuses. I had no choice because there were no snacks for the drinks. You should have been considerate and prepared some snacks. Can't you even understand such simple things, even though you're my wife?
Andrew treats me like a servant. Even though we both work, it's taken for granted that I do all the household chores. He doesn't lift a finger to help with dishes, cooking, or cleaning. When he comes home from work, all he does is laze around watching TV or playing games. Even when I'm unwell, he unapologetically demands that I take care of the housework. If I absolutely can't manage, he grumbles while buying meals from the convenience store. And of course, I'm the one who has to clean up the resulting mess. On top of all this, he's quick to criticize despite being the one who manages the finances. Even the dish I went through the trouble of making.
First of all, this is inedible,
he casually declares. If even a little bit of lint sticks to the laundry, he arrogantly thrusts the clothes at me, saying,
"Do it over."
Even though Andrew is the one who tends to make more mess during cleaning, if the room is even slightly dirty, he gets angry and accuses me of slacking off. The challenges aren't limited to just household chores. Andrew doesn't even contribute decently to our living expenses. The reality is, I manage the majority of our living expenses with my salary. While my income is not bad, it's still a bit tight. If I work overtime, I can increase my earnings, but then I won't have the time to do household chores. If the housework falls behind, I end up being scolded by Andrew. I did try talking to him about it, but he didn't bother to listen to what I had to say.
You can live comfortably because you have your own salary, right?
Even though he claims,
I'm saving my share, so don't worry.
I've never seen his salary slip or his savings passbook. I've asked to see them before, but he gets angry and says,
That's an invasion of privacy.
So I had no choice but to give up. To be honest, Andrew's claim about saving money seems suspicious in itself. That's because he spends quite frequently. The bags and watches he wears are branded, and he dresses in expensive clothes. He also buys costly items like bikes and golf bags. It seems like he's relying on my money to fund his hobbies, using his salary selfishly. Andrew's just selfish and not kind to me at all. Relying on someone else's salary to cover rent, food, and all the expenses is just unreasonable. I was deeply disappointed with a married life that was far from my ideal. The word divorce lingered in my mind multiple times, but I couldn't quite bring myself to make a decision. After all, it hasn't been that long since we got married. Maybe I'm not putting in enough effort. Perhaps if I try harder, Andrew will go back to being the kind person he used to be. I held on to that hope and chose to maintain the current situation. Looking back, I realize that this decision was a mistake. Somewhere in my heart, I believed. Maybe it's just the kindness of the old Andrew that I miss. However, it turned out it wasn't about money, but merely hiding books. My husband became more domineering as I obediently followed without resistance. His various requests increased, and their nature gradually became more unreasonable. One day, Andrew came home with a gloomy expression. He had mistakenly placed an order for the wrong product at work, causing significant losses. Knowing it's best not to get involved when my husband is in a bad mood, I quietly did household chores while listening to Andrew's complaints. Suddenly, Andrew turned his attention towards me.
It's your fault from the start.
Huh? Why is it my fault? I turned to him in surprise. The things you're talking about have nothing to do with me.
It's because you didn't support me properly. The home environment isn't reassuring, so I've been stressed too. Because of that, I ended up doing such meaningless things.
Andrew's arbitrary words left me speechless. This is clearly taking out frustrations on me, even though I've been putting in so much effort. Why would he express dissatisfaction with that? Though I'm usually silent about it, I finally spoke back to him. Stop blaming me for your work-related mistakes. It's important to separate home and work, right? I understand you're frustrated, but don't take it out on me. In response, instead of reflecting, Andrew exploded at me when I talked back. His face turned bright red and he yelled,
"Shut up!"
while throwing a cup filled with alcohol. Fortunately, the cup didn't hit me, but I couldn't help but tremble. One wrong step, and it could have resulted in a serious injury. Ignoring my fear, my husband continued to hurl insults, shouting,
"Useless woman! Good for nothing. Stop arguing back. Marrying someone like you was a mistake. I'm the husband here. If you're a wife, shut up and serve me obediently. I'll make sure you never defy me again."
Since then, my days have been filled with pressure from him. If something displeased him, he would hurl abusive words. There were times when he would hit or kick me. Even at work, I received threatening messages from Andrew every day like,
"This ugly woman, useless wife, I'll make you suffer when you get home."
This is how he redirected the stress from his job towards me, leaving me unable to find peace at home and, even at work, receiving threatening messages. I became unable to sleep due to the psychological pressure. Days of being scared of Andrew apologizing for anything he said continued. Then one day a major incident occurred. Due to the harsh daily life and lack of sleep, I went shopping half asleep, and while in a daze, I ended up on the road and got hit by a car. At that moment, I didn't know what was happening. I just endured the pain in my body. The owner of the car called an ambulance and I was taken to the hospital. There were no life-threatening injuries, but I had a complex fracture in one leg, rendering me unable to walk. I was discharged, but I had to use a wheelchair. According to the doctor, with diligent rehabilitation, I could regain the ability to walk, although it would take time. The owner of the car that hit me repeatedly apologized with a pale face. Feeling sorry for being initially disoriented with a half-asleep state, I couldn't help but feel apologetic. My parents hurriedly came to visit me. At that moment, I hesitated about discussing Andrew's situation, but in the end, couldn't bring myself to say anything. Throughout my hospitalization, Andrew never visited me even once. I would have to lead a restricted life for a while, but if I worked hard, I could eventually walk normally again. So, I was determined to give my best in rehabilitation. That's what I thought. When I returned home, Andrew's cold words were waiting for me.
"It's become quite troublesome. Getting involved in an accident? Just how unlucky can you be? You're trying to get me in trouble."
I'm sorry, I was a bit spaced out. The indirect cause of the accident was Andrew in the first place, but I don't have the courage to say so. I just had to bow my head and apologize to him. Andrew continued to question me in a harsh voice.
"Can you do household chores with those useless legs of yours?"
It might be challenging for a while, but if I work hard on rehabilitation, I might be able to walk a bit eventually. So maybe you could manage dinner on your own.
"Impossible."
Huh? Andrew interrupted my words, glared at me, and coldly declared,
"I've said it before. I don't want to take care of you for the rest of my life. Divorce is the only option for someone as incapable as you. Get out right now."
Wait a minute. My disability isn't forever. The doctor even said, with rehabilitation, I might be able to walk again.
That's just a possibility, right? There's no way you, with your disability, can endure rigorous rehabilitation. Stop whining and leave already."
Andrew heartlessly uttered those words and forcefully expelled me in a wheelchair out into the heavy snow. Pushed roughly by my husband, I tumbled, wheelchair and all. Panicking, I desperately called out to Andrew. "You! Please open the door." I knock on the door with all my strength, but Andrew doesn't respond. What should I do? If it continues like this, I might get hurt. Faced with the unopened door, I felt lost. At that moment, I realized something. You could say my eyes were opened. Why didn't I notice it earlier? With this as impetus, if I get a divorce, I won't have to live with that dreadful person anymore. I don't have to endure verbal abuse or violence anymore. There's not a single trace of affection left for Andrew, who tormented me for so long. I quickly took out my phone from my pocket and called a friend who lives nearby. Despite the sudden call, my friend immediately came to my aid. After being kicked out, I was taken to my parents' house. My parents were surprised when I suddenly returned, but after hearing the circumstances, they were furious. While crying, my mother hugged me, and my father gently patted my head. Overwhelmed by my parents' kindness, I couldn't help but cry. I was happy to see the kindness my parents showed me because I was worried that they might oppose my divorce. Afterward, I hired lawyers, and the divorce was finalized. The end of our married life was surprisingly uneventful. A year had passed since divorcing Andrew, and I was living in peace. I truly felt relieved and enjoyed my days now. However, one day, when I went to the hospital, I encountered Andrew again. No, it was Andrew who said,
"Kira?"
and approached me. He looked noticeably thin and worn out, compared to before we were married when he dressed sharply in branded clothes. His complexion was pale, his physique was scrawny, and his cheeks were chapped. Andrew was surprised to see me.
"Kira, have you regained the ability to walk?"
Yes, that's right. I worked hard on that rehabilitation you said I couldn't do after our divorce. After the divorce, I diligently underwent rehabilitation and managed to stand up somehow. I still can't run, but I can walk with a cane. Today, as part of my exercise, I walked to the hospital without overdoing it. Even so, I wondered why Andrew approached me. Just seeing his face makes me feel unpleasant. Whether he knew my true feelings or not, Andrew continued the conversation nonchalantly.
"Perfect timing. I was just thinking of contacting you. It was really tough after I divorced you."
Without me asking, Andrew started narrating his story. He is currently living alone, relying on convenience store food and eating out excessively. As a result, his health deteriorated and he ended up in the hospital. On top of that, Andrew was forced to quit his job. He used to vent his stress on me on a daily basis, but after the divorce, he couldn't do that anymore, and he got frustrated and took it out on his subordinates and coworkers at work. Due to complaints from those affected and the loss of trust from his colleagues, he ended up being fired from the company.
"I regretted deciding on the divorce so easily. I need you. Let's get back together, okay? You also want to come back to me, right?"
His audacious request left me amazed. After treating me so badly, why would he think I still have lingering feelings for him? So, I told him this. "What a coincidence. I was just about to contact you." Upon hearing this, Andrew's expression brightened. He might have thought we could reconcile, but it's not going to be that easy. Please, don't misunderstand. I was actually considering claiming settlement damages from you.
"Huh? Damages?"
Andrew seems bewildered, claiming he doesn't understand my words. Ignoring his reaction, I gently smiled and continued speaking. "Thank you for that time. You left me with a lower limb disability, and that was a wake-up call."
"Huh?"
At the time, I was so sick at heart from being hounded by Andrew on a daily basis that I didn't have the energy to run away. But after the divorce, when I calmed down and thought about it, I was hot with anger. I have been treated so badly, and Andrew gets no blame? I don't agree with that. I want him to at least take some responsibility. I kept a diary every day, and I also saved insulting emails from Andrew. Consulting with a lawyer with this evidence revealed that it was sufficient to claim compensation. Upon hearing this, Andrew desperately apologized to me.
"Please, spare me at least that much. Right now I'm really struggling to make ends meet. I can't afford any alimony. I'll apologize as many times as you want until you're satisfied."
I scoffed at Andrew's words and decided to say what I wanted to say. Just because you apologized doesn't mean I owe you anything. Before we divorced, even when I apologized while trembling, you still hit and kicked me. So why would you think you'll be forgiven if you apologize?
That's why I want you to know that I'm really sorry about that time.
It's too late. Your apologies don't matter to me. I just want to receive compensation for the suffering I endured. No matter what you say, I will definitely claim alimony. Let's discuss it through the lawyers.
Please, wait, Kira.
Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Get lost, you trash. I left angrily, leaving Andrew behind crying and pleading. I felt very refreshed. Later, through a lawyer, I claimed compensation from Andrew for the mental distress. Realizing that he would lose the lawsuit, Andrew borrowed money and paid me compensation. Now he seems to be living a daily life in debt, chased by debt collectors, but it's clearly his own fault. On the other hand, I am leading a calm life at my parents' house. Thanks to my efforts in rehabilitation, the condition of my legs has greatly improved. If I work a little harder, I will be able to walk without a cane like before. When I was injured in the accident, I lamented the harsh experience. However, if that was the reason I was able to divorce Andrew, it might be a blessing in disguise. I feel like I have regained my true self after the divorce. I'm tired of marriage for a while. In the meantime, I'm going to cultivate a discerning eye for men. I look forward to meeting someone kind this time.
My MIL spat heartless words at me when I collapsed at my husband's funeral, right after giving birth. But my daughter saved me with,
"Pregnancy is not a sickness, so get to work."
I'm sorry, but my stomach is bloated. Can I do it later?
"You're stable now, right? Start cleaning, you slug." "Mom?" "Oh, Henry, Mariton wants to clean up so badly. I was just telling her to take care of herself."
The video played had a clear sound. It captured the exact moment of the wife bullying I suffered from, and also the moment she acted as a good mother-in-law to her son. "I told you Grandma is a liar." We were surrounded by the confused voices of relatives and friends of my husband and I. My name is Madison Smith. I'm a 34-year-old housewife. My family consists of my husband Henry, who is 1 year older than me, and my 80-year-old daughter Caitlin. Also, I'm currently 8 months pregnant. The doctor says it's probably a boy. Our 2 children are rather far apart in age. This was because I remember having a hard time with my first baby. Though I had been avoiding it, my husband and his side of the family was eager to have another baby. Thankfully, their desire became a reality, and so I have a baby in my belly now. I have forgotten all the trouble of the first pregnancy because of the happiness of expecting our second child or not. What is troubling me is my husband's mother, my mother-in-law. I can't go home very often to my parents because I'd have to fly there. Therefore, when I had my first baby, we relied on Henry's parents. But my mother-in-law gave me a bunch of housework to do to have Caitlin to herself. A newborn baby should naturally stay with his or her mother all the time. After giving birth, the mother breastfeeds her child while waiting for her own body to recover. I think many mothers concentrate on just eating and sleeping when not breastfeeding to allow their bodies to recover. I thought that I could rely on my mother-in-law for a month or so while I do that. But in reality, my mother-in-law would say,
"You're my son's wife, so you should be the one working your fingers to the bone. Mommy is busy now, so come here to Grandma."
She took my newborn daughter away from me and ordered me to do the housework. 6 days after giving birth, the day after I was discharged from the hospital, I was ordered to cook and clean the house. Instead of sleeping to recover, I was told to get up and work.
"Pregnancy and giving birth is not a sickness. I've gone through it without a problem."
I heard these words over and over again. When my daughter woke up and started to cry, I would have to undress and feed her with my father-in-law present. When I was done nursing, She would throw me away as if I had no more use for her. I was lucky that my father-in-law had the understanding to look away. I finished cleaning up here and there, then the toilet, then the shower. In the middle of cleaning the shower, I fainted and collapsed and was readmitted to the hospital. My father-in-law said the bathroom was red with my blood. It was my father-in-law who called the ambulance. For my husband's sake, I should mention that he was out for work. He was working frantically so that he could take his time off from the next day. The day after I was discharged from the hospital after giving birth, he had to go back again. The doctors gave me a scolding. I was overworked. I was anemic and dehydrated. Mommy is so unreliable. Collapsing like that, isn't she? I remember the look on my mother-in-law's face as she held my crying daughter in her arms, refusing to let go. My husband was also angry.
Mom, you're too much. Have you really had a baby before?
I thought she was fine because I had gone through it before. Madison, you are so weak. My father-in-law and my husband were appalled at my mother-in-law's lack of apology. Anyway, my husband told me that it was understandable for me to try to avoid another child because I had been through such an experience so soon after the birth. However, time has passed since that first birth. My daughter, who was a newborn then, is now 80 years old and has just entered 3rd grade. She was a precious child, already speaking at quite a young age, perhaps because she was a girl. My husband and daughter told me one day,
"You can ignore my parents. We'll do our best at home."
"I will take care of the baby too and help you."
This time, I will take a formal paternity leave, and you can just work on your recovery.
I had no choice but to do my best when I was told such a reliable and happy thing. So I kept the pregnancy a secret from my in-laws until I entered the 2nd trimester. I only vaguely told them what month the baby was due.
We could just let our parents know a while after the birth. But we should make sure to report your parents more often, since they're farther away.
The distance between our house and my in-laws' house is about an hour by car. One saving grace was that my mother-in-law didn't have a driver's license. Still, there were some unannounced visits. With the help of my husband, I was able to escape from my mother-in-law and safely grow the child in my body. Eventually, the due date approached. 2 nights before my due date, I started having contractions. I called the hospital and asked for instructions. They told me to come to the hospital to be admitted, as the delivery may be accelerated for a woman who has given birth before. Looks like it started. Can I get a ride to the hospital?
Finally! Caitlin, let's drive Mom to the hospital together.
They dropped me off and I was admitted to the hospital to deliver our 2nd baby. As is hospital policy nowadays, there was a rule that did not allow visitors until the time of discharge. I think it's a measure to protect expectant mothers and the babies. Now, I won't be able to see my family until I've safely delivered my baby. This made me feel stronger about my goal to safely deliver the baby and return home. I spent a lot of time on video calls with my husband until the contractions got worse. My daughter looked like an angel sleeping on my phone, and I couldn't help but take a picture of her. Later that night, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy. In general, first-time mothers are allowed to leave the hospital about 5 days after delivery, and those experienced are allowed about 4 days after delivery. I had not given birth in 8 years and felt as if it was my first time, but I was allowed to leave the hospital after 4 days. I heard that the contraction of the uterus are stronger than after first birth, and I think it was more painful than in the past. Even so, the newborn baby was undeniably cute. When I left the hospital, I asked my husband, who was now on paternity leave, to pick me up. It was still before noon, so my daughter was at school. I can finally show you and Caitlin our new baby.
We have to celebrate when Caitlin gets home from school. I will get everything ready.
I never thought that this would be the last conversation I would have with my husband. It's been about 2 hours since the call. My husband had not yet arrived to pick me up. I was waiting at the hospital with my newborn son in my arms. I stared at my phone, wondering what was wrong, since I hadn't heard from him. Then, I received a call. It was from Heather, my husband's sister. I'm sorry to call you at such a busy time. Could you stay calm and listen? Henry was in a car accident and has just been rushed to the hospital. I don't remember how I got to the hospital after that. I think I took a cab with my son in my arms. When I arrived at the hospital, my sister-in-law was waiting for me at the entrance. She took me to a place that was neither a hospital room nor a treatment room, but what seems to be a mortuary. No way! It was like I was having a nightmare. Someone was lying there covered with a white cloth. No way! This can't be my husband.
How can you be so late even though you are his wife?
My mother-in-law's shrill voice snapped me back to reality.
It's your fault, Madison! It's all your fault!
I couldn't understand what was going on from my mother-in-law's emotional yelling, but my sister-in-law explained it to me. My husband had been in a car accident on his way to pick me up. He was driving his car when he collided head-on with a truck that had swerved into oncoming traffic. The truck driver may have fallen asleep at the wheel. Regular passenger car versus a large truck. There was no way he could win, and my husband passed on the spot. My sister-in-law, who had just lost her brother, told me while holding back her tears. One of the police officers knew my sister-in-law, and so she was contacted before I was. At a time like this, it must feel terrible. With your baby just born, please try to stay strong. My husband, Henry, was taken from us without him ever seeing his son. Our son doesn't even have a name yet. We were still deciding together. How am I going to explain this to Caitlin? My son in my arms started crying. I think he was hungry.
Shut up! Make him stop crying!
My mother-in-law shouted again. It's a terrible and absurd thing to tell a newborn baby to stop crying.
If you had a baby, you should have let us know. Such a wife with bad timing.
Nothing can be helped with those words. I couldn't take my husband home right away because he had died in an accident and needed to be autopsied. I waited 2 days, and his body was taken directly to the funeral home. I was the chief mourner. My father-in-law accompanied me and helped with the funeral arrangements. My sister-in-law, who already had 3 children, helped take care of my son while I did that. My mother-in-law kept repeating like an incantation that my husband died because of me. Mom, don't say things like that to Madison when she's in the worst pain.
I'm the one who lost my precious child that I gave birth to while in pain.
My mother-in-law made a fuss about how she should be the chief mourner and how everything was my fault. She used to take away my newborn daughter, but now she doesn't seem to care about her grandson. I was so tired and sleepy at the wake, but I couldn't sleep now. I had to be a good mourner so that my husband wouldn't be worried when he'd leave us. I kept that in mind and stayed careful. I was the only person who could protect my children. I thought I was doing well while doing all that, and breastfeeding my baby every couple of hours. But in the middle of greeting the people who attended the funeral, I collapsed. I thought I heard someone's words, but I couldn't do anything. When I came to, I saw my mother-in-law's face turning red in front of me. I must have been unconscious for several minutes. In a corner of the funeral home, I heard an ambulance approaching. Caitlin alongside my parents, who had flown in, were by my side. Daddy told me to protect Mommy from Grandma. Here's the proof. My daughter was holding my husband's phone in her hands. I do remember handing her his phone, miraculously intact, but with a practiced hand. She unlocked it and played a video. Pregnancy is not a sickness, so get to work. I'm sorry, but my stomach is bloated. Can I do it later? You are stable now, right? Start cleaning, you slug. Mom? Oh, Henry. Madison wants to clean up so badly. I was just telling her to take care of herself. The video played had a clear sound. It captures the exact moment of the wife bullying I suffered from, and also the moment she acted as a good mother-in-law to her son. I told you Grandma is a liar. We were surrounded by the confused voices of relatives and friends of my husband and I. Oh, I remember now. It was a video of when we visited my in-laws one time before our son's birth. My husband was looking out for me, but my mother-in-law would take advantage of every chance she got to bully me. Hey, Caitlin, give me that phone. No way. I know you're going to try to erase this. As my mother-in-law tried to take the phone away from Caitlin, my parents interrupted.
Mrs. Smith, what is this all about?
Oh, Mr. Miller, it's just Caitlin messing around. It's a misunderstanding. Miller is my maiden name.
I'd like to talk to you over there.
My red-faced mother-in-law was taken away by my parents. They seemed to be heading to the rented car parked outside. Caitlin, what did you tell everyone? I told everyone what Daddy told me. He said that Grandma is a liar and a jerk to you, that I need to protect you when Daddy is away. Daddy, where are you? My daughter started crying because she remembered that her father was gone. I cried with her too. This was the first time I cried with all my might without worrying. Later, I was told the words someone had said to me when I collapsed. After the funeral, I was taken to the ambulance and put on an IV. What gives you the right to sleep at your husband's funeral, lazy wife? Apparently, my mother-in-law said that when I collapsed. Quite a strong line, isn't it? My daughter may not have understood what she was saying, but she was surely angry. Mommy didn't do anything wrong, but Grandma is mad at her. I'm going to protect her from liar Grandma, just like Daddy said. Like that. I believe that my daughter's sense of responsibility as the eldest child now was triggered. My sister-in-law, who was watching the whole thing, told me, Really, I'm sorry about my mother. It's okay. I was able to feel Henry and Caitlin's love. Can't you see that she's making her daughter hear all of this? It was my sister-in-law who looked after my son while all of this happened. She's taking care of my son next to me, right by the ivy pole. Lousy wife. How can she say something like that? A wife is not a slave. Why does she think a mother-in-law is so important? That line, and the fact that the granddaughter revealed my mother-in-law's true identity made my parents furious. Because of her anachronistic beliefs and her actions of putting the health of a mother and a child at risk, they questioned my mother-in-law thoroughly. Of course, my mother-in-law evaded the questioning, saying that it was a misunderstanding, or that she was just trying to be nice. Then, my father-in-law said something very bluntly.
How can you face Henry when you've been harassing Madison like that?
Even my mother-in-law fell quiet. He continued.
I can't deal with you anymore.
My mother-in-law couldn't say anything back. After all that talk, I returned to the funeral home and boarded the bus. I cremated my husband about 2 hours later than scheduled. After a month, at my husband's memorial mass, I was generally feeling better. My son, whom I named Hunter, taking my husband's first letter, is also doing well. My mother stayed over to help me until the memorial mass was safely over. She cooked meals for me and my daughter and took care of the house for me. I experienced for the first time what it means to be taken care of as a postpartum mother. There were many things that happened. First, my sister-in-law declared to her own mother that she no longer wanted connection with her. In addition, my father-in-law and mother-in-law divorced, a middle-aged divorce. Of course, my mother-in-law said she didn't want either one of them. My sister-in-law spit out that she didn't want a mother who could be a bad influence on her and her family. My father-in-law said that their values are too different, and that he no longer has anything but hatred for her. My mother-in-law never had a mother-in-law herself. My father-in-law's mother died before they were married, so she only had a father-in-law. Pregnancy and giving birth is not a sickness. I don't think she has a right to say this phrase repeatedly to me. My mother-in-law's reason for her actions was not because she wanted to pass on the mistreatment she had received from her mother-in-law. My sister-in-law was furious at my mother-in-law's actions that came from her malice. My father-in-law and mother-in-law divorced shortly before the memorial mass, and my mother-in-law was forced to leave the house. Her aging parents were in an institution, and she had no one to turn to, so she went to her daughter's house. Don't be silly. I don't see you as my mother anymore. And so, she was turned away. Next, she called my house, and my mother answered the phone. Oh, Mrs. Smith, I've heard you've been through so much. But thanks to you, my daughter had a much harder time. I heard the other day that right after Caitlin was born, you made my daughter work to bleed. No, Madison didn't say anything. All she said was that she fell by accident. Your husband? Oh, he isn't your husband anymore, is he? Your ex-husband told me about that time because he was the one who called the ambulance. And even this time, it happened right after the baby was born, and the funeral was right after she was discharged from the hospital. It must have been hard for her. But to tell her not to sleep when she collapsed, or to be a lousy wife, it's just too much. Who the hell do you think you are? Oh, did I already make this complaint the other day? So yes, neither my daughter nor the Millers here will provide any assistance. My daughter is too busy with her own life, and we do not wish to be associated with you any longer. That's right, never. That's why we are asking you to stop contacting us. Caitlin? Caitlin doesn't want to see you anymore either. If you come near her, I will report you to the police. Thank you for your understanding. Goodbye. While I was breastfeeding Hunter, the relationship with my mother-in-law was broken off over the phone. My mother-in-law is only 58 years old, not old enough to receive a pension. She has received a share of the property, but she will have a hard time living from now on. She just shamed all the relatives at the funeral by acting like a terrible mother-in-law. She may not even have a guarantor to rent a house. She's my husband's mother, so I sometimes almost inadvertently show her mercy. But my father told me that I have to get rid of her in order to protect myself and my children. I was a little nervous going into the memorial mass. If my mother-in-law showed up, I was ready to firmly reject her. but my mother-in-law didn't show up.
I can't believe she's a woman who can't even show up at her son's memorial. What a woman. All I can say is that it was a good decision to leave her.
My mother-in-law hasn't even visited her siblings. None of her relatives know where she is. The only thing they could tell us was that my husband's cousin saw her under a bridge. I'm sorry to hear about her downfall, but I can honestly say it's a relief. Oh yes, my father-in-law graciously apologized to me.
I'm sorry I didn't stop her from doing that, even though I was aware of it. I wonder if I can continue to be a grandfather to my grandchildren.
Of course. After all, I'm Henry's wife.
I'm sorry, and thank you.
I consider my father-in-law a man of goodwill, from when he looked away from me breastfeeding.
If she shows up, I will deal with her.
That's what he said, and I'm grateful to him for that. The memorial mass is about to begin. I wonder if my husband in heaven is watching over us. You will have to wait another 40 or 50 years before I can see you again, Henry. I want to see my happy children for you. I will do my best, so just wait for me, okay? Thank you for watching to the end. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.